All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Round 1, pick 21. Maxi Hanachor is the pick for the Steelers. And again, it seems like a need pick based on the medical condition of Broderick Jones. We'll see what the Steelers stay. Rich Walsh is over there. He will have post-game reaction or post-round 1 reaction coming up at 11 o'clock on KDKA. So we'll see what they say. But certainly this is not a name that many people had. I think Mel Kiper may have been the only one in his final mock draft today to have this guy on there. I have to double check that, but I think I saw it and I wondered, no, that makes sense only if they have this feeling about Broderick Jones. So we have a question up there also. It's our Penn West University question of the night. And this is about who the Steelers should pick tomorrow or what positions you think they should look at. You can see it right now at kdka.com/connect. What needs do the Steelers address tomorrow? The choices are wide receiver, cornerback, quarterback, or guard. Of those four, which would you pick, Chris?
Wide receiver, and I still think there's time tonight if they want to make a splash that maybe excites the fans. Boston's still out there, Cooper Jr. Trade back into the first round maybe. Go after, you could trade for, I think, pick 31, 32 maybe, and try to get one of those receivers because I guarantee you if they did something like that, that would probably gas up fans who, let's be honest, do we have any Maxi Hanachor experts out there? Are there any Steelers casual fans who don't cover the draft for a living who are like, oh, yeah, I popped on the tape of this guy and I was watching every rep, Bob, every rep, Chris. No, I'll tell you this little nugget. So I recall hearing, and this is not like proprietary info by any stretch, but that Andy Weidel, I believe, if not Weidel, one of the Steelers scouts was, somebody from their front office, from their personnel side, was out at Arizona State this year. And the thought was maybe is that for Sam Leavitt? And then you knew of Jordan Tyson, too, because that was when, are they still going to try to draft a quarterback? This was earlier in the season. You got to believe that when they went out there, regardless of what their aim was, that they saw Hanachor and must have been impressed enough to have him in the back of mind or maybe even in the front of mind here, Bob. So maybe this was a byproduct of other guys they were scouting on that team that they thought they were going to have a chance at or might be interested in, and then they discover Hanachor. We find out, that's how high school recruiting works a lot. You'll find a guy, you're looking for another guy to recruit, and then you find a teammate you didn't know anything about. True. And I'm just wondering if that was the case here. Could
very well have been, absolutely. And again, maybe they didn't want to act on it, but they knew of him, followed him, were impressed by him, and then all of a sudden the news for Broderick Jones, who knows, maybe that impacted that to the point where they put it into play. It just was a name that I don't think many people thought of coming into this draft tonight. Let's go to the lines. We have a lot of people who want to talk about it and air your opinions. Frank in Taylorstown is our number one caller. Frank, your take.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Bob and Chris. I cannot stand why we don't move up in the draft. I mean, we have 12 picks. Let's move up in the draft, get Mekhi Lemon, do something. You got Seeneman there at safety that's a better pick than this tackle. We don't have 2 years. If we have 2 years, let's just play Will Howard and not bring back Rodgers. That's just my take.
Listen, I thought the same thing. You make a good point. They have these 12 picks, now 11. Chris was suggesting, again, tomorrow, move up. They could have done it in this draft. I mean, you don't often see Philadelphia and Dallas make a trade like that. But clearly the Eagles had him in mind, and I agree with you. I think if Lemon had been there, they probably would have taken him instead of this and then worried about tackle a little bit later. And maybe they could have gotten this guy in the second round, or they could have moved up in the first round to kind of reverse it just to get a better receiver. So there were a lot of options in play. I was surprised they didn't make a move.
I should say one thing to clarify my position here, though, and I didn't say this yet. I don't think the Steelers can win with Aaron Rodgers if he comes back this year. I'll just be very clear here. So the idea that Hanachor exists on a timeline where the Steelers are actually trying to set up for their next quarterback who's going to be somebody they draft next year, and Hanachor maybe plays part of this year, and you start to get his feet wet, and then he turns from project to more finished product by hopefully early in year 2, then it makes more sense. But, like, if somebody's going to call in today or tonight and say, hey, this doesn't help them win this year, I got news for you. Unless they were going to kidnap Patrick Mahomes from the Chiefs, there weren't a lot of things that they were going to do this offseason that were going to help the Steelers win. Certainly not bringing back Aaron Rodgers. And about Thieneman, he's a very safe prospect. I think he's going to be a good safety, possibly a very good one. When we're talking positional value, I understand that one player is safer than the other, but if you end up drafting a really good tackle, even if it's a right tackle and not a left tackle, that is more valuable than all but maybe the best safety or two safeties in the entire NFL. That's just how GMs look at it, to be very clear.
412-575-2600. Bob is in Beachview, and now he's right here with us. Hey, Bob.
Hey, I'll tell you that, Chris. I want to apologize to him. He just took my point up in the summer before the Pirates selected Don Kelly. He made an experienced prediction, and I sort of was a smart aleck with him. But I was just going to say a left tackle protects Aaron Rodgers, Will Howard, and the other guy, the guy at Steeler guy.
Yeah, Rudolph. But I mean, I don't know what did you say to him, or what was he reacting to?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no earthly idea. I don't remember what I had for breakfast 2 days ago sometimes. So if I made an impression with that take and he wanted to apologize, he's the bigger man. I appreciate that. Ihanachor is not even a left tackle. He's a right tackle. That's the other curious thing here.
Right.
Are you going to roll the dice that you think Aaron Rodgers has already said the Steelers' new offensive line coach, one of the best human beings he's ever met and everything else. Do you want to roll the dice and try to turn this guy to a completely different side because you figure he's so raw in the game of football that he's not that entrenched as a right tackle? Do you have long-term plans on Fautanu at left tackle, and this guy's just going to slot in, and Fautanu's going to play right this year until Ihanachor's ready, and then he jumps across? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, Bob, and you said it best. This was a pretty obvious-looking need pick, and most of the best teams in the NFL do not draft for need. They draft what they think is the best player available, and they try to stick to that board. And it just feels like the Steelers got a little – honestly, it feels like the Artie Burns pick in this sense. Remember when the Bengals picked William Jackson III right ahead of them?
Yep.
That's how I feel. Like Lemon was their guy. They were surprised when Philly traded up. They got caught flat-footed. That's kind of my big, broad takeaway from tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. With all these picks left, you got to think they're going to do that, what you suggested. Real quick, your take on the Simpson pick. I mentioned that with the LA Rams. They certainly need a successor plan to Matthew Stafford. Looks like it's this guy. There were a lot of different takes on him. A lot of people didn't think he'd be a first-round pick. At the end, I think it was Tom Pelissero who said he would get into the first round, where he did. Not only that, he got the 13. You surprised that it was the Rams at that pick?
I got to list some apologies. I apologized to Pelissero. We made fun of that and said, boy, Simpson's agent must have done him a favor or vice versa, and there's going to be a payoff in the future. He was right. I guess I technically have to apologize to Dan Orlovsky. I laughed at him and said he's just the ESPN guy being told to take this baton and run with it. He doesn't actually believe it. If you think Orlovsky's nuts for his Ty Simpson take, you must think Sean McVay's an idiot, which I don't. Here's my take on it. If the Browns draft Ty Simpson, goodbye, buddy. 4 years and out of the league. The Rams drafted him. He sits behind Matthew Stafford. He's playing for probably still at worst one of the top 3 offensive minds in the NFL in that system, in a place where it doesn't matter that he's got tiny little hands and he doesn't have the tiny hands.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm
thinking of Nussmeier.
Yeah.
He has big hands. I'm thinking of Nussmeier. Sorry. Another SEC quarterback. He's going to be good for the Rams. Let's just call it what it is. He's going to sit there for 1 year, learn the offense, and he's going to absolutely cook people, and we're all going to look stupid, but it's because he went to the right team.
That has a lot to do with it. We're going to take a break on that note, come back with more. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, 7 nights a week right here on KDKA+. Bob Pompeani and Chris Mueller with you, and this just in, Omar Cooper goes to the Jets at 30, I believe it was, so that's another wide receiver. Was a good player out there in Indiana, and so he's gone. One other note, too, O'Neal Cruz hits a home run tonight, his 8th. He now has 23 runs batted in. That's 3rd overall, I think, in baseball. They lost 6-1. What about Cooper? That's another guy that I know a lot of people like to have seen.
He was a good run after the catch guy. I think a lot of people were pretty familiar with him because he played for the national champion. He had that insane catch against Penn State, which still ranks as one of the great catches you'll see at any level of football to save their bacon that day. I liked him. I didn't like him as much as Boston. Obviously, the Steelers have decided. It goes back to underscore, Bob. They decided that they needed to pick a tackle, and they eschewed multiple other players who were available at a position where I think that it was all agreed upon that they needed help still, wide receiver for the future. So I'll tell you what, Omar Khan's got a lot of work to do on days 2 and 3 of this draft to find a lot of useful instant impact players because Maxi Ihanachor is not that.
No, he's not. He's somebody down the road. He's going to have to be molded into whatever they think he can be. But it gives them another body there, and if that's what they're looking for, that's what they did. I'm very curious about the Lemon pick, though. I wonder if he was there or if they should have moved up one pick. It doesn't cost all that much, and they certainly have a lot of draft equity there. Do you think they pick a quarterback tomorrow at all in any of those picks?
I think it would be like the last pick they have in the third round. I still think it's likelier they take one on day 3, but if they really like Beck as much as we've heard, then maybe they might panic pick and think somebody else is going to go get him. But we see these non-first round quarterbacks get pushed down the board. I hope they can wait till day 3. Also, you just said something very quickly, Bob. I know we're light on time here. Omar Khan is supposed to be this guy who loves to make trades and make aggressive moves. You just said it. Doesn't cost that much to move up one spot.
Right.
He wasn't willing to do that. He didn't have the foresight. I mean, again, Philly just dominating Pittsburgh in sports this week.
Game 4 Saturday night. Penguins have to start winning or else their season will be over. That's 3-0. Flyers lead in that one. We'll talk more about that as the week goes on, but in the meantime, more picks tomorrow. Chris, thanks very much for being here as always, and we'll see you again coming up next week. Join us tonight at 11 o'clock. A reminder, we'll be on the air Sunday night with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, looking back at all these picks. A special show on Saturday night at 7:30 as well. Good night, everyone.